Yo, what's good? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Snapzilla Gorilla, aka The Definition, here hollering at y'all with this quick live stream. It's a beautiful day outside. It was supposed to be raining all week, but I guess nature changed its mind. I don't see no streaks in the air. I don't see no trails. So, it is what it is. It is what it is. How y'all doing this morning? On my way to the work. Sam Seals was good. Salute to West Australia, by the way of East Oakland. Now, tell me if I'm wrong, Sam Seals.
Watch out, vehicle on shoulder ahead.
Did they just ban knives in Australia? Tell me I'm wrong. Did they just ban knives in Australia? Wild work. Nasty work, insidious work. They just banned knives in Australia. Just so y'all know. In Australia, they ban knives. Like come on, man. Come on, man. See, you let them do all this gun control, and they tell you, oh, well, machetes, still, right? Machetes, knives, whatever it is, it's a problem. It's a problem. Anyway, that's another video to come. That's another live stream to come, y'all. Right now, I want to talk about Turki Al-Sheikh, because he, I don't know what he's snorting. I don't know if he's snorting creatine, or I don't know if he's shooting up maple syrup, but this motherfucker tripping. Okay. He put out a tweet. Right? Last night, when I was still asleep. And in the tweet, he said, no more Tom and Jerry, which is interesting because I didn't know Saudi Arabia knew about Tom and Jerry, but that's another story too. No more Tom and Jerry in the ring, where one guy's running and another guy's chasing, all this, that, and the third, if you want to fight in the Riyadh season. Now, here's the thing with that. I need Turki Al-Sheikh to explain what running is and give us examples of who runners are. Who are the runners in the sport of boxing right now? Who are the runners in the sport of boxing? Because, people confuse running with footwork. They confuse it with lateral movement. They confuse it with boxing, right? They confuse running with boxing. And the name of the game is boxing. So I need him to explain what running is and who are runners. Because if you look at the UFC, they run all the time. They turn their back and they sprint around the octagon. That is literally running, right? They turn their back on their opponent. Their opponent chases them and tries to, snuff them from the back. Not snuff them because they're aware of the fight, but I need him to explain it to me, because I find it interesting that after Devin Haney, Turki Al-Sheikh never complained about runners before, right? And then Devin Haney fights Jose Ramirez. Everybody calls him a runner in that fight, even though he boxed beautifully and pieced up Jose Ramirez, landed at will, right? Had Jose Ramirez chasing him around the ring, couldn't cut him off because his feet was too fucking slow. But that's Devin's fault. Devin was landing at will, landing check hooks, throwing combinations. Well, they'll tell you, Devin wasn't punching. He didn't even throw any punches. Right? That's what they'll tell you. And then you got this buckeye fool, Showbiz the man-child, come out and tweet himself that there needs to be a rule against runners in boxing after Devin Haney's fight. After he interviewed Devin and was gushing like a schoolgirl. Showbiz the man-child says that there needs to be a no running rule at the referee's discretion. And now Turki Al-Sheikh is sitting up here talking about no running. Now, understand that Showbiz the man-child now works for DAZN. And Turki Al-Sheikh basically owns the boxing division of DAZN. And now he is basically parroting Showbiz the man-child's words, which clearly shows, in my opinion. Now, I need clarification. I need Turki Al-Sheikh to clarify what that means. Is this a rule that he's going to implement in TKO? Right? Because he has Dana White. He's going to be running TKO boxing. And Dana White already runs the UFC. But in the UFC, motherfuckers run. Literally. They don't box, they run. Right? They run at you. Or they run from you. If you overwhelm them and you know they're backs against the cage, they're trying to get away, they will turn their back and run. They're not boxing. UFC fighters aren't boxers. And so what do? They fight, they wrestle, or they run. They'll kick, they'll knee, they'll elbow, they'll shoot, right? They'll sweep, they'll throw. They don't box. These motherfuckers don't box. But they'll run. Right? They got boxers, right? They got fighters in the UFC that might have started out boxing, but they just couldn't make it work. So they started, implementing other styles. They implemented Muay Thai, they implemented kickboxing, wrestling, and jiu-jitsu. And here we go with MMA. But if a fighter is being overwhelmed in MMA or in the UFC, they will run from their opponent. No problems. But in boxing, they don't do that. I mean, very rarely. I rarely see a fighter literally run in the ring. I don't see where I don't see where that is an overwhelming or a overused or I don't see that being a thing where boxers are constantly running in the ring, so you gotta put a tweet out talking about, oh, no running in Riyadh season. Tell me what the fuck that is. Now, are you talking about like Willie Pep, where he won an entire round without throwing a punch, and all he did was move around the ring? He wasn't running. He was just using lateral movement. He was using footwork, right? And his opponent could not land anything, and he didn't throw anything. He won the round. Is that what we're talking about? Are you talking about not throwing a lot of punches or running? Are you talking about maybe you want to spend a round, you want to take a round off? You want to frustrate your opponent. It might be the first 5 or 6 rounds. You have an aggressive opponent that's a good puncher. You want them to blow their load early in the fight, in the early rounds. They blow their load, right? Hopefully they don't keep their power in the later rounds. Some fighters do, like Deontay Wilder, Gervonta Tonka Truck Davis. There are fighters that their power will carry over into the later rounds. But the hope, essentially, from a boxer who is going up against a puncher is you want them to miss a lot, blow their load. You don't even want them to land on the gloves. That is a strategy that you can use against punchers. Make them miss. Not catch their shots with your glove. Make them miss. And put themselves in a position where you can counter, and basically don't allow them to land anything. Don't allow them to land anything, period. Not just get it blocked, right? Because a puncher, even if they land on the glove or on the elbow or on the arm, they can still cause damage to you. So the idea is use footwork, use feints, right? Use head movement, use slips, roll. You know what I'm saying? To get out of the way. Because if they miss, they're going to waste more energy missing than landing. Whether they land on your glove or land on your arm, land on the whatever. So you want to be able to get out of the way. You want to be able to step back. You want to be able to use lateral movement. You want to be able to shuffle. You might want to throw a cross and shuffle to the left, or throw a jab and shuffle to the right, and follow up with a hook to the body, an uppercut. You know what I'm saying? Frustrate the shit out of them. Or if they're really aggressive and they're trying to throw lunging punches and they're, you know what I'm saying? Oh, they're really going to be wasting a lot of energy. Throwing lunging punches, swinging for the fences, right? Throwing Hail Marys. And you're not there for them, man, you might just stop them. Or you can embarrass the shit out of them. That has to be a possibility in the sport of boxing. That has to be an option. There needs to be an option to make your opponent miss entirely. There has to be an option to determine whether your opponent can cut off the ring or if they're going to chase you. If they're going to chase you and you're like, well, I don't want to get hit today. I want to get hit very minimally. Well, I'm going to let them chase me, and then I'm going to post up just for a hot second, throw a combination or two, and get the fuck out the way. It's called sticking and moving. So, are we talking about sticking and moving? Excuse me. Are we talking about, what the fuck are we talking about? Is running, not standing in the pocket the entire fight and doing rock'em sock'em robots? What are we saying here? What the fuck is running? When I hear people, they talk about running, they talk about, oh, Shakur Stevenson ran versus Edwin De Los Santos. Devin ran versus Jose Ramirez. What's his name? Karen Chukabugaluga ran versus Jerron Boots Ennis. Then do they? I mean, y'all don't even know what the fuck y'all talking about. And y'all have spread this nonsense so far and wide that Turki Al-Sheikh, who people believed knew anything about boxing, is showing that he doesn't know anything about boxing. BFTB said one time that Turki Al-Sheikh is a super casual or a hyper, I forgot what he said, a hardcore casual or diehard casual. And Turki Al-Sheikh sitting up here sending that tweet out clearly shows that BFTB was right. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just saw him as a guy who enjoyed, a fan of boxing, who wanted to pay and was willing to pay to see the best fights happen. Right? And then, of course, you know, he has an agenda. His whole country has an agenda. They have an agenda. Queen Sister Cameron, how you doing this morning? Drop your link. Please drop your link. I am very interested to see what you got to talk about in your next video. So drop your link so that people can come check you out. Sam Seals, if you don't know Sister Cameron, go subscribe to her. She covers mental health, all manner of mental health issues on her channel, how to deal with it, how to cope with it, all that good shit. But she's not gonna baby you though, right? So just go check her out and get you some good mental health in your life. So Turki Al-Sheikh needs to explain what the fuck running is who the fuck are runners? Give me some examples, right? Queen Sister Cameron, you always welcome to drop your link. I know I don't have a whole bunch of subscribers, but I will always put you on blast because I don't think there's. I mean, you know, you got mental health professionals that get on YouTube and they talk about, from what I've seen, they talk about TV show characters and evil, you know, why Tony Soprano is this way, but I don't know. I'm just glad you're out there doing that. We need to boost you. You need, your channel needs to be boosted like a big dog. And I like what you're doing with your shorts. You know what I'm saying? You're getting a little bit more creative with it. I can tell you enjoy it. So that's a great thing. So anyway, Turki Al-Sheikh needs to explain it to me. Why are you talking about this right now? Since when did, like, I understand, right? So everybody wants to say, oh, it's because of Devin, right? Oh, it's because of Devin fight. Devin this, Devin that. Punch Dumb did a video about it and said, of course he lied. Punch Dumb lies and said that Devin Haney is banned from Riyadh season. A blatant fucking lie. No one banned Devin Haney. Turki Al-Sheikh did not ban Devin Haney from fighting in Riyadh season. You understand what I'm talking about? He did not. If he runs, he doesn't get paid. See, this is what I'm talking about. TWSUF, whatever the fuck your name is. Turki Al-Sheikh, from what I understand, pays the fighters up front. What do you mean? They get paid up front. Upfront money. Guaranteed money. That means that they get the money no matter what. They're going to get fucking paid. Now, whether or not he influences the judges to take points away or creates a rule, you know, you won't get the victory. That's a different story, but they will get paid. So this is what I'm talking about. I mean, who told you that? Who told you that motherfuckers ain't getting paid if they run? And what is running? Nonetheless, see, somebody told your dumb ass that. Let me not call you dumb. Let me not call you that. You probably got that from Punch Dumb or somebody like that. Now look, let me tell you about Punch Dumb. I didn't watch the video. I'm going to watch it later because I'm probably going to do a breakdown of it. Because Punch Drunk is a great case study for why boxing is in shambles the way it is, right? He is one of those individuals, just like Buckeye, the Buckeye, you know, Showbiz the man child. He's another one. Then you have South Sucker. There are a number of individuals out there. No, Turkey said Crawford is not getting paid for black running. What is that? What are you talking about? What are we talking about? Anyway, like I was saying, people want to say like Punch Drunk is basically saying that Turkey is saying that because of Devin. Where did he get that from? I'll tell you why I believe he said that. Now, everybody wants to point to Devin Haney. Everybody wants to point to him. I've seen 3-4 videos where they're like, oh, it's because of Devin Haney. And it, you know, it might be the case, but if you want to use any form of evidence, circumstantial though it is, I would point to Ryan Garcia. Why do I say that? Well, because when Rolly and Ryan were fighting, Turkey was yelling at Ryan to throw some punches. He was yelling at Ryan. He was telling Ryan to throw some punches. Don't stand there, blah, blah, blah. He was yelling at Ryan Garcia. He didn't yell at Devin Haney. He didn't yell at Devin Haney. No. He yelled at Ryan Garcia. He got on Ryan Garcia's ass for not throwing any punches. By the way, there were less punches thrown and landed during the Ryan Garcia-Rolly fight. And even less so during the William Skull versus Canelo fight. But everybody, it's always about Devin. right? Because he's the face of boxing, in my opinion. And if you use my parameters and my criteria, it's Devin Haney. Everybody wants to talk about the money. Okay, well, if you talk about the money that boxers make, well, then it's definitely not a boxer that one would consider to be a professional boxer that does boxing for a living. That would be Jake Paul, essentially, in this day and time. But that's another story as well. But Turki Al-Sheikh was yelling at Ryan Garcia. He was not yelling at Devin to throw punches, because Devin was throwing punches. He landed 70 of them. Right? That may not be a lot to you guys. But compared to how many Jose Ramirez landed, compared to how many Ryan Garcia landed in Rolly Romero, Devin threw the most punches on the weekend outside of Teofimo Lopez. But look at Teofimo Lopez after that fight. Look at his face. He got busted up. The bottom line is this. Everybody wants to assume Devin, but that's not the case necessarily, in my opinion. In my opinion, Turki, and it might be, again, that's why I say Turki needs to explain and clarify what running is and give an example of who a runner is. And even to say that, you're trying to shake up the sport of boxing in different ways. Many of them are good and some of them are bad. And don't allow Turki Al-Sheikh. Do not allow, I'm speaking Turki Al-Sheikh. He's not going to see the video, but do not allow the negative changes that you make to outweigh the good. Because trying to create a rule or trying to dictate how fighters fight in the ring, trying to dictate that, right, to determine whether they can fight on your card or in for Riyadh season, that is a problem. It ain't gonna do nothing but give fuel to the flames of people who already don't like Turki Al-Sheikh in the sport of boxing, right? They don't like him. They don't like him there. All this is going to do is add fuel to the flames, on top of giving him more of a reason to shit on Devin Haney. No one called Devin a runner, by the way, until he fought Jose Ramirez. And I'm not going to get into, he was laid off for a year, and, he was, all the trauma from the headshots and from all the trauma from the Ryan Garcia, all this, that, and the third. Listen, they had a strategy on that night. They implemented the strategy, and the strategy worked out. They won. And again, Ryan Garcia didn't necessarily run against Rolly Romero. I mean, they were basically they didn't do a lot of movement, right? Ryan didn't move a lot. Rolly didn't move a lot. But Rolly outboxed Rolly outboxed Ryan Garcia, but not to he wasn't on no Pernell Whitaker status, right? He was just, using slight lateral movement, you know what I'm saying? But Ryan Garcia wasn't aggressive enough to really put Rolly Romero's boxing to the test. Excuse me. So, we're at a crossroads, in my opinion, as boxing fans and as boxers. We always talk about who's controlling the sport. We're concerned about Turki Al-Sheikh taking the sport over and doing some shit, right? Taking it over to Saudi and trying to make it the agenda they have, the Riyadh season agenda, which includes getting into all manner of sports, trying to branch out and diversify their portfolio because they're only making money off of oil right now, right? Well, there is a concern that because of all the electric cars and all the green initiatives, that they're going to lose out. They're not going to have they're not going to be as wealthy once the world starts going more and more green. So they're trying to branch off into different things. And they're trying to grow Saudi Arabia's economy by diversifying, getting into soccer, getting into boxing, doing all these different things. And there is a fear that they're going to bring every sport to Saudi Arabia, and every sport is only going to happen in Saudi Arabia. It's kind of ridiculous if you think about it. But it's easier to do something like that with the sport of boxing because the boxing does not have leagues, right? They don't have leagues. It's not like in the Olympics. Basically, you have the USA team, you have the USA boxers, you have boxers from different countries. But outside of that, with boxing, it's kind of like a free-for-all, right? You know, you got these different sanctioning bodies, you got these different belts, and anybody from all over the world can enter into the rankings, and they can go the WBO route, they can go to WBC, IBF, WBO. They can do these different things, but it's kind of like it's the wild, wild west, because this promoter can manipulate the rankings and all this other shit. Now, it's unrealistic to think that Saudi Arabia can bring all these sports to Saudi Arabia and they only happen in Saudi Arabia. If you want to have a big fight, it can only happen in Saudi Arabia. Even if they want that to happen, it's not realistic. It's not realistic. But if that is a concern, the best thing is for the fighters. If the fighters ain't fucking with it for good reason, then they have to show Turki Al-Sheikh that, listen, it's boxing. I'm the boxer. You need the boxers to run boxing. If you don't have the boxers, you ain't running shit. You can run boxing in Saudi Arabia with Saudi Arabian fighters. If that's really a concern, then it's going to have to come to a point where it's like, okay, you can't allow Turki Al-Sheikh. You can't say, oh, it's Turki Al-Sheikh, because these boxers, well, they're signing on the dotted line. They're making a decision and a choice. Yeah, I'll go fight in Saudi Arabia. Yeah, because they want those millions and millions of dollars. Understandable. They want to get paid what they feel they're worth. Turki Al-Sheikh is willing to do that at this point in time. But it comes to a point where, okay, if Turkey starts trying to implement rules like no running, if he says, well, all the major bouts are going to happen in Saudi Arabia, if he says, Dana White is going to run TKO and there's no other section of body, it's only going to be the lineal champion or whatever the case may be, and there is a pay structure. If they end up implementing a pay structure like Dana White likes to do, no matter how big you are, until you get into the spotlight, until you become on that champion, if you know what I'm saying, unless you're like a Conor McGregor or a Ronda Rousey, or you stand out, you have a certain pay structure, and there is no negotiating. If you want to fight in this league, you got to take this pay. It's up to the boxers. It's up to the boxers to say, nah, we ain't fucking with it. And if Turki Al-Sheikh wants to stay in boxing, if Saudi Arabia wants to stay in boxing, they have to roll with what the boxers say. They have to relax their retarded, stupid shit like no running. That's dumb. It's dumb as fuck. Trying to implement a no running rule and try to threaten fighters. Oh, if you're going to run, don't come fight here. It's stupid. So it's just like in the real world, right? Because boxing is part of the real world. And let me not say that. It's just like in your life today. If you guys vote for presidents, you guys vote for council people, and vote for this senator and that congressperson, and that congressperson fucks you over, That president fucks you over. You don't like what they're doing. Well, you motherfuckers voted for him. You gave your consent to be governed. So it's on you, right? Tyrants cannot tyrannize. Tyrants cannot be tyrants without the people allowing them to be tyrants. If you just lay there and let them do whatever the fuck that's on you. Listen, tyrants, dictators, right? These types of people, everybody wants to call Turki Al-Sheikh a dictator. They want to say he's a tyrant, right? He's a tyrant of boxing, all this other shit. It is because y'all are allowing them to do this, because you're giving your consent. Once you give your consent, once you vote, once you, all these different things and all that, well, you are the ones that are allowing it to happen, right? And that's why I say I don't vote, because if I'm going to complain about the system, why would I vote for the system I'm complaining about? Well, if I say, oh, the system fucked, or it's a racist, it's, whatever the case may be, whatever I'm complaining about, oh, they're being tyrants. So every 4 years, I'm going to vote for the guy I feel is going to be the least tyrannical. I'm going to vote for him to be in office. But guess what? I'm voting for him to become president or senator or congressperson or mayor or governor in a system that is tyrannical in and of itself. So they are being voted into a system that's set up for them to be tyrants. Even with the Constitution. So, okay, when I'm going to vote for the next guy, because he's saying, oh, well, I'm going to stop this, I'm going to put an end to that. He can't do it. Can't do it. It's just like with Turki Al-Sheikh. You know what I'm saying? He's trying to create a system. He's trying to create a system in the sport of boxing where there is going to be one body, one belt, one championship, one champion per division. And he is going to try to implement what he wants to implement. For good or bad. Like I said, there are great things that Turki Al-Sheikh has done in the sport of boxing. Pookie Bear was good. Until we have our own, we'll always play by the... Exactly. So the Bud fight will be harder for Bud. Well, and that's the funny thing, because I don't feel like Bud does any running. Like, I mean, it's all bullshit. This guy says Devin is trash. Whatever. Anyway, so... There is a lot of praise going on for Turki right now. But you have to look at... There's a lot of praise from Turki. For Turki. Because even me, I've praised Turki for certain things. But I have to stay objective. When he fucks up, I'm going to call him out. I'm going to call it out. Because... And if the thing I'm calling him out for outweighs all the good shit he's done, I have to look at that. I have to look at the patterns. I have to look at, well, why is he doing this? Let me look at what he's done before. Let me look at the type of shit he's talking about. And I have to look at who he's surrounding himself with. Who is he surrounding himself with to help him in the sport of boxing do what he wants to do? I mean, the guy hired, well, the Zone hired Showbiz the Man-Child, and the Man-Child says there needs to be a no running rule, and then Turki Al-Sheikh says no running in Riyadh. Now, I'm very careful when talking about slippery slopes, because it can be a fallacy. That's why you have to look at the evidence. All right, it started here, it starts snowballing. Okay, all right, we're on a slippery slope now. It's on a slippery slope now. You know, what's next? What's the next thing after the no running bullshit? We really got to look at that type of shit. So it is what it is, y'all. I mean, and look, The fighters have a lot more power than they believe they have. Yes, they want the money. Yes, Turkey is presenting the money. But you really have to look at, well, what is that worth? Pookie Bear, I mean, yeah, that could be a thing. No clinching, but there is a rule against excessive holding, right? It's up to the referee's discretion. There is a rule about keeping your jab hand out there. So, even though it's a good strategy to kind of blind your opponent and do different things, you can't do it too much, right? But clinching is a tool to use in boxing, and so is pawing the jab out. You just gotta be careful about how much you do it. But the no running thing, I mean, that's too subjective. It's too broad. It's too general. I need specifics. What is no running? If you're talking about literally turning your back and running around the ring, okay. But there's already a rule against turning your back on an opponent, right? You can't do it to a certain degree. Like that, I mean, if you turn around and go to your corner in the middle of a round, that is against the rules, right? So you have to be specific. Tell me what no running is, and we'll go from there. Anyway, guys, let me get up in here. Thank you guys for coming through. Thank you for hitting that like button. Thank you for sharing if you shared it, or whatever the case may be. Thank you for coming through. Queen Sister Cameron, Pookie Bear, TW Suff One, even though you are trolling, I appreciate everybody for coming through and hit Sam Seals. Thank you for coming through. I'm gonna holler at y'all later. But yeah, just because he says no running doesn't mean that he was talking about Devin when he was yelling at Ryan Garcia. Right? He was yelling at Ryan Garcia in the last fight. But anyway, it is what it is. Much love, like, share, subscribe. And we're going to keep marching forward toward freedom. Peace.